track, and there's not really a track and field program at Mount Diablo High School anymore. And well, no, I mean there is, but they don't do like javelin or discus. They just do straight.
High jump.
Yeah, they just do the traditional running and I don't know whatever else.
Cross country.
Running and cross country. Yeah. So this field is pretty much not used. I really wanted, was lusting after, there's a 3.5 acre field over there that's going to be partly science buildings, and PE is going to continue to use that and so on. But this was the 0.8 acre field that's going to be the kitchen and market garden. It's not a farm according to Kate McClatchy. So yeah, that's this. Then pretty much everything from this fence line to the north property line, to the northwest, to the baseball field that's right over there, which I can walk you into, is also stuff that on a handshake is ours, which as you can see is mostly like concrete turnaround space, soil piles, trees, and so on. But there's a ton of potential for nursery space and packing shed and outdoor classroom and more infrastructure development, as well as, you know, the back area. There's actually a ton of space that just needs to be cleaned up and redeveloped a little bit to fully utilize. So, you know, what I call the northwest parcel, the market garden and the tennis court corridor or whatever, that's a 1/4 acre, and this is 0.8, and this is, you know, it's, if you add all that up with that other garden, it's close to 2 acres, but it's not quite there. Yeah.
But you can imagine what we will be able to produce here, and the job opportunities and the enlightenment for the kids that are in, you know, playing football on that field and seeing everything grown here. The baseball coach said, "Can't you take the field there and I want all corn?" So that when they're playing baseball, they see the corn back there. And we know that Field of Dreams, that these teachers are also getting very excited about this, because when you have things growing and changing in your environment where you've been down for a long time, and that's where Mount Diablo High School's been, you feel like you're part of something new growing. So they're the teachers. It's not like we're fighting against anybody. Everybody's going, well, did you think about this or that? And having the PE department being open to share this is a wonderful partnership here. Wonderful.
And there's no south. The south exposure is totally clear. That site is actually fairly shady, especially in the winter. It doesn't get a lot of direct sun because the buildings are surrounding it on 3 sides and so on. So this will be a much, much better site for growing. There's going to be a little bit of tiny bit of eastern morning shade from these trees, but barely anything. And then the west is pretty clear all the way out, so the solar exposure is a lot better. This is more like a real farm field.
How many kids are you going to need to work this?
Depends when I get a tractor and what kind of equipment it comes with. Because, you know, a farmer with appropriate tractor tools can do a heck of a lot of work. But yeah, I mean, there's an infinite amount of work to do. There's just an infinite amount of work. So as much money as there is, we'll have, you know, stipends for kids to work, plus extra credit and community service hours and lab classroom hours and so on and so on. The work is never done, because we're going to be going from turf, perennial weeds, to cultivated bare soil. So it'll be sprouting intense perennial weeds.
Do you see doing it in the soil or in raised beds?
No, in the soil.
Amended soil?
Yeah, so the top layer of turf is going to be scraped, and then it'll be cultivated, and then heavily amended. And actually a lot of it this summer, I would have to grow cover crops and not actually properly. But, you know, it depends like how quickly things move, but I would hope by the first day of school, maybe a 1/4 of this is planted out. And a quarter of it is in process to get planted out, and half of it would be cover crops. Cover cropping being like you grow plants for chopping and feeding the soil.
Pull them down.
And weed suppression
And that's where we'll take the scraps from the kitchen and from Serendipity, and it'll all be recycled and into our
right, so we can do
composting.
farm scale composting out here. That wouldn't be in this field. That would be in back there. So yeah, that would be. I've done farm scale composting before, and there's a lot of potential. But it's pretty labor intensive without specialized equipment. But that's what we do with students is working with. So
Talk about getting kids active and getting them from behind the screen. I mean, exercise, going out and running is one, but how about physical labor and eating well and being out here in the outside and working and being part of the whole process is, we think we're going to be giving our kids a wonderful, wonderful experience. And then having Debbie here from Serendipity as we incorporate this into the restaurant there, and suddenly their restaurant takes on a different place. And we've got what, 200 or 400 kids this year that'll be going through Serendipity. We'll be impacting 1,600 kids and their families here. That's big. That is really big.
in the short run, it would be a ton of salad mix and greens. And in the long run, I'd like to grow olives and almonds and walnuts and hazelnuts and so on. That would be like like a 2-row edge on the edge here. And then if the backspace can be redeveloped in that corner. So
So is it time for lunch?
yeah.
I think it's time for lunch.